Nice. We're synced up. I've got my oolong tea. And we need to talk about A Woman Under the Influence. So, I haven't been very moved by stuff in theaters recently enough to make a video about it, I guess. But I think I get more hyped to make a video hating on stuff, to be honest. So, here's that. So, I get like one movie recommendation with my girlfriend a month. And I hear about this Woman Under the Influence movie. I see so many letterboxd top fours. And they say, Cassavetes. He just gets it, man. He's so good and it's so raw. And it's like, I love the raw stuff. I think I do. What I would call raw. So then I do a little research on it. I'm like, oh, this is fun. 70s. Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. Oh, it's independent cinema. We love it, man. And then he fucked it. Now my girlfriend's not going to let me pick a movie for like 2 months. We'll get to all this later, but like, the biggest thing is just being so bored. Like, just being so bored. And I'm the guy that got through Stalker, Barry Lyndon, like all this stuff that you think is going to bore you. At least I thought was going to bore me. I go in with the open mind. I'm not going to turn off the movie. I never turn off the movie. I've never done it. But I got very close. And it's just the strangest things to see something that's like, top 75, like all time, like common consensus. And it's just booty fart. So, I mean, before I get too down into the dirty with it, I guess I'll go over some. There are a couple scenes where I think he plays like a good shift, a good, like you understand where things are going, kind of, not an aha moment per se, but like one of the ones I wrote down was the awkward silence at dinner. So, I mean, I don't know. We're going to get into this too. I don't know if this is normal back in the day to invite your whole crew over to your house where your cooped up wife is at. Because I get the idea that he's the everyman. Like, I get the idea that this feminist thing is like he's the everyman. But I digress. The awkward silence at dinner was really fun. So, I mean, it was we'll get into the problems I have with the dialogue and stuff and everything else. But the switch from her being all gassed up and calling the guy handsome, and then Nick or whatever his name is yells at her, and then the dinner is like awkward and silent afterwards. Like the before and after there, the kind of contrast is really fun. That was one of the times in the movie where I felt something, I saw what was going on, and I said, yeah, okay. Like, I've seen like a parallel like situation to this. Like, like the wife is a little too keyed up or is like trying too hard to have like fun. He's in a bad mood. He's grouchy. I mean, you can like, there's a couple different ways that this could be played, but that was fun. I thought that was really cool. There are just gorgeous individual shots, like blockings, like, I mean, obviously anything shot on film in LA in the 70s is going to be really, really pretty. The reds in this movie pop really, really nicely. I liked a lot of the shots when they were working construction and stuff, and just there was good blocking in there. And then you get this thing of like, okay, he can really direct, and then I felt like at other points he really couldn't. Digressing again, I'm not gonna hate yet. I promise, I'm not gonna hate yet. So I mean, the one thing that came to mind was when the dude from down the street brings his kids over to play, and then they're in the backyard having like a balloon party, like my girlfriend and I were just kind of talking about how, like, yeah, she seems a little crazy. She seems a little out there, a little eccentric, but almost in a way that would make her like a fun mom. Now, I don't know about a good mom. I don't know about a good partner, etc. But her having them do like costume parties and like being all carefree, flippant, like it's all blown in the wind kind of thing was it was a little bit heartwarming. And then when they're outside and the balloons are kind of flying around, the dad's standing there, and there's just like some really nice red balloons like flying through. He got some beautiful green grass. Like, I remember I was complaining right before this happened, and I looked at my girlfriend and said, see, but it's pretty. Like, that was pretty. So, I mean, that was I think that was like a big plus. There were just some really nicely constructed scenes, some really nicely like blocked things where you could just look at it for a while, and it kind of does the trick. The other scene that really kind of got me was the "Can you stand up for me, Dad?" at dinner thing was pretty cool. the like the miscommunication there, and like the weird silences between her asking that, him like physically standing up, you know, it's like a fun, I shouldn't say fun, but like it was a cool read of things. It was a cool, like, how would I say, like, way to display kind of the dynamic that was going on after she gets back. Um, but it is also weird that that's like the first time we see her dad. I don't know. I don't know. He just kind of throws characters in whenever they're useful for the story, which I don't know. But that part was sort of powerful. I thought I felt very bad for her. That was one of the times where like a big emotion kind of swelled up, and I thought, once again, okay, I see the fragments of this that people like. Um, and then, so I mean, another thing is, so when I read this, I read about this as being like a very feminist piece. That seems to be a very big take on this. And like a lot of people talking about like, oh, he really like gives a lot of credence to the girl, the female lead. Like, she's not just crazy. Like, she's not diagnosed with anything. It's not clinical so much as it is freaking societal, man, or what have you. I'm not going to get into that. I think that's annoying. But I do like that there's not really like, for me when I watch, there's not like a clean cut good or bad guy. Obviously the dad is smacking her around. It's not cool. But I kind of felt like he did care about her a lot. Like, especially at the beginning, it seems like he's like, you're my girl. And it's like he doesn't really get what's wrong with her. He's a very old-fashioned kind of guy. But I didn't feel like he hated her. I didn't feel like he was like putting her out on the, like doing her dirty, like sending her off to get rid of her, like manipulating her, strong arming her. I didn't feel any of that, which was kind of fun. So then when he hits her, you're a lot more like, oh man, So the morally kind of gray thing going on here is pretty good. I mean, it's not morally gray, but it's like gray insofar as like, it's not just like she's just this poor girl. At least I felt like she annoyed the shit out of me for a good third of the movie. So, you're just kind of like, okay, I get, and like it was from craziness, like, what I mean, just repeating herself, doing shit where you're like, why, in what world are you doing that? Like, what's going on here exactly? Like when she brings the dude home at the beginning, and you're like, did she cheat on him? Like maybe we've had that happen before, but then you kind of get this idea that she's in like a fugue state and like doesn't know where she is or what's going on. So I mean, with stuff like that, I mean, I like breadcrumbs where it's like, yeah, don't hit me over the head with it. Like, I like being treated with like, a little bit of, because I'm pretty smart. I'm a pretty smart guy. So like that's fun, and then, so it kind of just, to me, like toes a line that I feel like a lot of people don't talk about. Like, I feel like a lot of people talk about just like this, like, oh, this poor girl kind of movie. But I mean, I feel like maybe it's feminist insofar as it just like gives both people like a fighting chance, where that's maybe not like the norm, where maybe the norm is just to be like crazy bitch, and you get bits of that. But I also, I wrote in my review, like when I pinned it down on like letterboxd right when we finished it, like I really feel like she didn't do anything that kind of crossed the line into needing to be like institutionalized anywhere. Like having the neighbor over to have a play date with the kids, and there's like a naked 4-year-old running around. Like, I feel like that wasn't that crazy. I feel like it's just like an old Italian man thing where like he just didn't like that a man was in his house while he wasn't there. And then it's like, was this like how it was in the 70s? Like, I'm trying to figure out, I guess, where like the middle part is on the needle of like who's being the tweaker. And it makes it hard when it's from like the 70s in LA with like a blue collar second generation Italian guy. And I mean, I'm pretty far removed from that. So I kind of didn't understand if that was like unreasonable on his part. I kind of thought it was, but I can't tell if it's kind of supposed to be like in the vein of the character, like this makes sense. And some of that's fun. Like some of that gray area is fun. So, I mean, those are like some of the good parts. Let's, give it, a little bit of credit there, where it's like, there's definitely some pretty parts. There's definitely some cool, like little shifts and things. There's some cool, plays on like scene dynamics between some of the characters. And it does a good job of like, painting parts of this like domestic awfulness. But I mean, honestly, that's probably where the good stuff ends. And kind of why it ends is it's not so much that there's so much bad stuff, it's just that he doesn't. The biggest like flag I saw of this one was when he goes to pick up the kids for the first time when she's institutionalized. Dudes from work comes with him. It's like there's like fun thing about this. Like, he's in the not a fire truck, but his work truck. He doesn't have anything else to take the kids in. He's obviously never done this before. He's stepping up a little bit. I kind of thought, okay, I was under the impression he might just go drink beer and like forget about the kids, and that was going to be like the point of this. But like I said, we have this gray area. So no, he doesn't forget about the kids. He goes to get them. And then the teacher's a little worried, whatever. We put him in the car. Everything's like pretty cool up to that. They're getting their swimsuits. He's like yelling at them. It feels fine. Like it feels like I get what's going on. We go to the beach and it's just like weird. Like the other guy talks about going to the beach with his family, and then that kind of nothing happens there. And then he builds a sandcastle with the two boys, and then the girl wants to go build a sandcastle with her brothers, and like he like chases her down, and you're like, what was even the significant? Like I feel like this is B-roll, like, and that's kind of like the problem with this is just like letting B-roll just run and run and run and run. It's like, what was the point of that? And then it cuts, and then we're off the beach, and I'm like, I thought we were gonna have like some sort of moment at any part in this of like, oh, that was important, oh, that was meaningful, oh, I see what's going on here, oh, like I don't know. And so maybe drinking the beers in the back of the truck on the way back is like his way of like bonding with the kids. I didn't hate that. That was fine. But to me, it's like you can cut fucking 4 minutes of the beach scene and still get the thing of them driving in the back of the car. You can get that without them even going to the beach. You can get that from him going to pick them up from school, and he can't get home from work without drinking a beer, blue collar man, and then he just sips on the beer while his homie drives. Like, if that's the point, cut the fat, because I don't know. That was just what really kept getting me, is these scenes just drag on. They just drag on. And then, we're going to get to this later, but it's going to be in the title of the video of this intentional fallacy, where it's just like, you just read everyone else's takes on it, and they're just like, he did it on purpose, so it's uncomfortable. It's like, if it comes to a point of, it's not just discomfort, it's like unenjoyableness, right? And it's not unenjoyableness like, I don't know, like Manchester by the Sea, where at least I like feel something afterwards. It's like this empty unenjoyableness. There's not like a cathartic feeling. There's not like a, oh wow, there's not any of this. It's just like, so I don't know. I mean, maybe that boils down to a strength for some people. Not for me. It doesn't work. The dinner scene was kind of like this too, where it's like, I did really like the shift earlier, like I talked about, but it's like so long, and it just, they're yapping about nothing, right? Like, I don't get. We'll come back to this later, because I want to talk about like the improvisational nature of this thing that I think really like drags it down into the depths, like super bad. But like the dinner scene was just like super long, and like I don't really get these setups. The end when he's like she like cut her hand on something. Everything's kind of like muddy, and that's okay sometimes, but you got to give me some semblance of something. Like, so she cuts her hand on something, I don't know, she's tweaking out, she's going to kill herself, she's going to hurt herself. We can't let her go to her own devices, because she might do something silly or bad. So he grabs her, he takes the kids upstairs, they run downstairs. He goes downstairs to get them. He says, hey, you can't do that, your mom's down there. Hey. He takes them back upstairs. They run downstairs. He takes them back upstairs. They run downstairs. It's sort of like the end of Chainsaw Massacre. But like that felt like it was supposed to be kind of funny. Like that felt like it was like, there was like almost this like slapstick like ridiculousness to it. This was just like, you're like, I get that this might be how like some domestic disputes end up going, right? Like, sure. Like, it just, I don't care. Like, we're not going for that, are we? Like, I just don't know. Like, it's just, you got to cut the damn scene. And it's just like this, it's just like an editing problem. It's just every scene is 3 minutes too long, and I just don't get it. Like, I don't know. And I keep saying that, but there is something that just about, it's like, does it click with you or not? And it just becomes confusing when it seems to click with everybody else. Like, I'm not retarded, I don't think. The next thing I wrote down is just because I see this Gina Rollins performance and it's like really cool. Like, there's like a lot of these moments in these scenes where we get these like up downs. Like just and how fast she switches and stuff. But it's this weird, like, I don't know if I've never met a wife this battered before, but it comes off like one of these performances where like at no point do I think at no point is the facade of acting broken. Like at no point do I go, oh, that's an actress, and it gets ruined in that way. It's this weird thing where like the metric by which I would judge this performance I've never seen in real life. It's my friend talks about this with like Joker performances where it's like you've never met a guy like that. There doesn't exist a guy like that really outside of wearing a straitjacket in your local loony bin that you've never met, you never will. You'll never hear him talk. And then if there were a guy that crazy, he wouldn't make this much sense and he wouldn't wear a purple suit. So you have nothing to like base this off of. Like there's no good or bad acting. It's just like, do you manage to not break the facade? And like there's something to be said for that. It's nice, right? And like there are a couple scenes, like I said, where she does this up down, like she changes emotions so quickly and the tears start flowing. And like, when she says, I can be whatever you want, can you stand up for me? Like I'm just thinking of a couple lines where I was like, that was pretty banger. Like, you know what I mean? But it's not, everyone's like on this, like she invented acting thing. And I don't, I'm not sure. Cause to me, honestly, like the most convinced I was by people in the entire movie were like the little kids. Like every time they would come on screen, there would be like this, I'd be like, thank God, like someone normal is here. Like, you know what I mean? Like the kids would say something funny. They would say some funny shit like a little kid would say. And that works. That's when like this weird uber method acting thing was like fine. But it's just like I didn't really love Bro's performance. I don't even know his name in the movie because it's just like who is anyone besides Mabel? Like I don't know. But anyways, I didn't love his performance. He's just screaming and punching shit. It just kind of it's just like this weird old type of acting, I felt like this with a lot of movies I watched, but it's like, did they invent acting in the 1980s? Did they invent acting with The Godfather and then wait till the 1980s? Because you just watch stuff and you're like, that's not how people act. Like, is it sort of compelling in a way that like a stage performance is? Like, yes, but I don't, like, I feel like if you're going for realism, which is like, seems to be the whole thing for this movie, like it needs to feel real. It needs to not feel like this weird, like I don't know. And like the other thing is like, the rest of these actors aren't bad actors. Like all these like extras, like all the people on the construction crew, all the people at the party at the end of her thing. But it's like, it feels like he just like went on, the equivalent of Facebook Marketplace in the 70s, or just like hit up all his like family friends, because they just kind of like, you'll hear, like, I would just hear like stuff they were saying in the background. And it's like, he just walked around before the dinner and was like, yeah, you guys are construction workers, so just chop it up. And like, they don't have anything to work off of. It's like when you and your friend are trying to like eavesdrop on somebody and you're just trying to invent some kind of conversation to pass the time, to like give the verisimilitude of like, we are having a conversation. Like my mouth is moving and then your mouth moves after my mouth stops moving, but we're not like sharing information. We're not like communicating. We're not like interacting with one another. There's no like sharing of emotions, like all these things that you would think happen when you like speak. So I don't know what that is. And like, why are any of them in the movie? Like, is kind of the other thing that I was getting at. Is just like all these foremen. Like, okay, if you want to have that many people at the dinner, just for like, maybe, because I was kind of like, why would he bring all these people home? Maybe that's the point. Maybe he can't read the cues. Maybe he can't like accept the fact that she's weird, so he shouldn't bring a bunch of people around. But it's like, none of them like add anything. There's like four of them that add something. You could say like, the handsome guy adds something. The dude that they drive somewhere adds something. The old Italian guy is kind of funny. But then like the weird thing with the singing, like these are just like, it's like if like how would I say this? It's like if you were trying to make the montage when the wife dies, and you're like, what are all like cutesy things that like we could do, and you just come up with stuff. Like, it's not real. It doesn't have substance on either side of it. It's not bookended by like real things. It's just like he goes, the Cassavetes was like, yeah, he's Italian, so he should like start ripping opera but then like the black guy's like way better at singing, so he cuts him off, and then everybody laughs. Like it just doesn't make any like sense, and it doesn't like really, I feel like, add anything to the movie. It just adds shit to the runtime. So I just I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. So then it's like, because we're chasing realism. Cassavetes is chasing realism. Maybe I shouldn't even say that, because we're going to get into the intentional fallacy later. And I don't want to try and go after what he was going after. But I watched this, and it doesn't have like the hallmarks of anything else. It's not overly dramatic. It's not overly any of these things. It feels like he's just trying to paint like a super dysfunctional household, Like it's not that it doesn't function. It's just that like it has its own little quirks and things. Like fun, okay, right? But it's like I don't like one of the Italian guys like grabs Mabel's butt when she's in the kitchen at the dinner thing. And I'm like, what was that? Is this just being Italian and I don't understand it? Like, I'm thinking like when they all come to the party and her dad, who you don't even know is her dad because he's not been in the movie before, it doesn't look like her, none of this, right? Cassavetes was just like, her dad's here at this scene. Like, it makes sense. He would be at the coming home thing, but he's just not in the shit before it. Okay, I guess, right? We could have had him when the grandma drops him off earlier, and it would have made a little more sense. Instead, we don't, and it doesn't. But, like, he gets up, and he's like, you're not going to tell me what to do, and, like, squares up on the guy, and the guy, like, we get this weird, like, misfire of things, and then he's like, yeah, whatever, and then they just don't, like, there's no conflict there. It just dies. It's like, that's not real. Like, if that guy, like, that's not real. That shit, like, doesn't happen like that. And then it's like, the other thing is just this, like, it's like this improvisational thing, like I was talking about earlier, which I feel like just betrays realism. Like, yes, it's real in the sense that that's the conversation that was happening, but, like, that's not what we're going for, So, the next thing I wrote is, because it is, like I just said, like, it's improvisational, so it's real insofar as, like, this is actually really the actors going back and forth off a script. Oh, that doesn't, like, this is all about, like, singularity of vision, I feel like. It's like, you have an idea, it maybe means this, that, the third to you, but it's like, punch through on that line, like, and then when you just let them go, like, on and on and on, and I've heard that this was a 4-hour movie, thank fucking God he chopped it. I've heard that, he recorded for a million hours or whatever, and then just found, like, the good parts. It's like, is that directing, or is that just editing, because, and we're getting into the nitty gritty here, but it's like, if you're directing, you say, no, you say this. If you wrote the screenplay, which he did, you say, no, you say this. It's just, I wrote this in my review, it's like, I'd love to see the fucking screenplay for this, because, I read the Roger Ebert reviews. He's like the only guy I go read his review after I watch movies, because I love disagreeing with him too. But I like when he likes the movie I like. And I like making fun of him for being a nerd when he doesn't like it. But he gave this thing a 4-star, and he's like, oh, wow, he's such a good writer. I'm like, dude, this guy didn't write jack shit. He wrote, like, stage notes for each of these scenes. He writes, Mabel and her husband fight. And then he was just like, go, guys, I'm going to record you guys arguing for 45 minutes, cry at one point, and I'll cut it down to an 8.5-minute scene. What is this? What is this? What is this bullshit? And then, it's like, they just repeat each other. And that's where it becomes clear that this is kind of improvisational, or it's just awful writing. Take your pick. But it's just like, he's on, like, there's no one on the other end of that phone at the beginning. That was what killed me, right? And it's like, it's not that they need to actually be talking on the phone. It's just there needs to be pauses between when he talks. And he's like, you did what? Okay, you don't want me to come home. And he's like, verbatim saying what she would have said back to him, and just repeating himself over and over and over again. And it's like, I get that the construction site is, like, loud and shit, but I don't care. We've got to stop doing this. It's like, it's maybe not about realism. It's maybe not. It's maybe about the singularity of the vision, like I just said. And it's like, the improv is just killing this, dude. The improv is killing this. They just do random shit, say random shit. It's aimless. It just meanders for, like, 2 hours, And, like, this is, like, one of the most damning things about a movie is being forgettable and being boring. Now, I'll give it to you. This movie is not forgettable, but like boredom is killer. Like for me, like I'm not gonna turn off a movie. I said this earlier. It's just in my blood to give him a chance. You know what I mean? Like maybe he'll fix it. Maybe over the course of this runtime, we'll find some little gem or some little moment where something works and something makes sense. But like we didn't get there here. There were moments, where little flashes, like I talked about earlier. But it's like I was pausing it to go get water, and I'm like, oh my god, there is an hour and 30 minutes left in this. And then, like, it just kills me because I go on here. It's this thing of like, there is no coming back from being this bored, from being this much of a drag, right? Shouts out Karsten, ass nerd, right? So his review on here is like, this shit is so hard to get through. Took 4 breaks to do something else. I hate saying things like this, but I appreciate films more like this and I enjoy watching them. Appreciate what? What are you talking about? I'm going to get into this in a minute with the intentional fallacy thing, but it's like, what does that mean? Like the whole point of a movie is to be entertained, to enjoy sitting there and spending your life force on the screen. And you had to pause it 4 times to get through it because it's a goddamn slog. I did too. At least have the decency to give it a fucking 1 star. That's just a ridiculous thing to say. That's a ridiculous thing to say. If you have to pause a movie 4 times because it's so awful, because it's such a slog, and it's not that emotionally potent. Like, I'll tell you that right now. Just watched Hamnet. Sobbed, right? I watched Manchester by the Sea. Sobbed. Watched Roma. Sobbed. Like, I've seen these ones that really punch me in the gut. And this one did no punching. This one held all the punches. And it's just like, the problem just becomes, if there was a punch, it like lands on you, and then we have another 7.5 minutes of the scene, right? So I don't know if this is just a different editing, school of thought or what have you, but you should end the scene there. You should give us a moment of silence to like marinate in it. If you just wanted to record your parents fighting, like sure, go do that. It just, emotions have like an expiration date. Like they go stale. Like when something happens in a movie, like, and there's a punch in a scene and then you just do some other bullshit for the other next 9 minutes of the scene, you've lost the punch that you landed on me. I've shaken it off. And it's just like, I feel like that's totally lost on this whole movie. Like I get the idea, please 30 minutes less. And now I want to talk about like the biggest thing, like the biggest with this whole movie, like the problem that it's emblematic of, right? So it's, sorry, got tired of playing with my hair. So it's like, the intentional fallacy is some bullshit they made me read for class a while ago. Some European dude came up with it. I think it's a good read though. It's a good take. So it's just about like factoring in, authorial intent when you are consuming a piece of art. It's the problem with the plaque next to the modern art painting. You look at it and you go, this looks like someone smeared poop on a piece of paper. And then in the plaque they say, well, he was homeless and he did smear poop onto paper. But isn't that so impressive? No. Like, you don't get, like, I don't care. Like, none of that matters. What exists at any point in time with critique, with experiencing art, with like being there with it, is just you and the art. It's an A-B. You stand there, you look at the painting, there's a line formed between your eyes and the canvas. And that's all that exists. Anything that gets in between that is like muddying shit down. All you're doing is like finding excuses. We're trying to find other things to like more onto, to like figure out how we feel. It's like the rawness of that first initial, like how you feel about it is probably how you feel about it. The rest of it's you trying to reason your way back to this is good. And I'm not going to do that. And I don't do that. I honestly end up reasoning more towards this is bad, which I don't know what that says about me, but it's just, Cassavetes made this. Now you separate it from him, like it's separate from him. You know, he had whatever he wanted to do with it. He had all these ideas. You'll listen to his interviews, and he's like, it's about how hard love is. And it's just like, it doesn't matter what you have to say anymore. Like, right? Like, I'll listen to the interview if I like the movie that much, which I didn't, so I don't want to listen to anything you have to say. But it's separate from you now. It's gone. It's over here, you're over here, and you're just talking. And it doesn't matter. Like, I watched the movie, I thought it was shit. Everybody else watched the movie, they also thought it was shit. And then they go watch Cassavetes' interview, and then they go, oh, it was supposed to be shit. No, it doesn't matter. Like, you know what I mean? You can't color your conception with, like, behind the scenes and these letterboxd top fours and, like, all these rave reviews from people that say fucking 8-syllable words and talk about, like, you know, French New Wave. Like, this isn't like what we're doing. Like, you know what I mean? The biggest example I saw was, like, the camera work. I thought the camera work in this movie was pretty fucking buns. It just kind of like falls around the place. It just kind of looks like he has a shaky hand, and then was just recording them for like 5 hours at a time, got tired, moves the camera slightly. You go on here and you will read people saying shit like, in this scene, her wedding ring is only halfway in the bottom of the frame, so it is her being halfway out of her marriage. And you're just like, you are projecting like so hard. Like, if that's what you want it to be, that doesn't mean that's what it is, right? We're all looking at this, and it's colored entirely by all of our past experiences, all the previous movies we've watched, how much we read about the movie before it, how much we're going to read about the movie after it, right? And it's like, I can't stop you from reading before. I can't undo the influence that that's had on you. But it's like, stop letting some guy who watches like 50s Iranian exploitation films like tell you what's good. Like, stop letting Roger Ebert, for God's sakes, tell you what's good. Because it's just like, you watch the movie, tell me how you feel. The answers after this one, it's like nothing. It's not even like an emptiness. It's just, I watched it and I was bored. I watched it and I was just like, how is this in anyone's top 4? How is this in anyone's top 100? Like, good performance from Gina. The rest of the performances are bad, except the kids. And I wouldn't even say it's like a great performance from her. There's some pretty framing, and it's pretty on film, and LA looks beautiful this time of year in the 70s when you're a blue-collar worker. Cool. There's like some fun moments. But then like I said earlier, you know, we can't extrapolate much more, even when he talks about it. I don't think it should be taken into consideration with these things. And I think people need to watch more movies if this is in the top 4. Like, I will never watch this movie again. I'll go watch a couple scenes, highlights on YouTube. When some stuff is pretty... There's just too much to be lost in the flipping around and the cracks of this. There's too much that's lost in the in-between of people just repeating lines at one another. There's just too much that's lost in, like, the weird nothingness of, like, whatever 1970s acting is in American independent cinema. I don't know, dude. It's just boring, you know? It's just boring as shit.